Hey everybody, what is going on? HexLex here, got another Master Duel video for you. So decided to tackle the latest Duel trial a couple of days ago. I am actually redoing the audio for this one because I wasn't super satisfied with my last take, but my last audio take, that is. But yeah, we're playing this event with the grossly overpowered Exodia deck, something that a lot of people have been having a lot of fun with, and I personally find this to be a test of my patience because I don't find lists with, you know, such an egregious just trying to turbo draw Exodia and do nothing else. I don't find this fun or interesting. And I think more than the event, that's kind of going to be the crux of what this video is about. So yeah, I mean, this is something I've definitely talked about on the channel before, but what better what better stage to talk about this in? So Exodia, I firmly think that Exodia was a mistake to lean into so hard so early. This is something that the Yu-Gi-Oh writers also realized, I think, extremely early on, by the way. This is why Weevil throws Exodia off of the boat in the second episode, because I think the writers realized pretty quickly that, oh, having Yugi get wins by just kind of like drawing the piece of Exodia and just having it is not going to make for sustainable, interesting, you know, gameplay for our series. And I think that definitely applies to the actual game of Yu-Gi-Oh as well. One thing that I think is quite interesting is one of the biggest criticisms that I've heard from Yu-Gi boomers, you know, people who used to play Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day and have a sort of disdain for how it is now. And I'm sure you've heard the sentiment before, is that modern Yu-Gi-Oh is just drawing your whole deck and then winning on turn one. But if you look at what videos are most popular on YouTube of Master Duel gameplay when it comes to not just Yu-Gi boomers, but in general, it's literally all just like deep draw Exodia decks that don't interact with the opponent and just, you know, go off on turn one. And I will say this event at least has Painful Choice. If it weren't for Painful Choice, there would not be a single degree of decision making in this event. And that's my big problem with this event, as well as with decks like this in general, and why I really don't think Exodia is like good or something that should be praised at all. I think that at its core, it makes for just uninteresting, uninteractive gameplay with no real decision making involved. And for me personally, what I find fun in Yu-Gi-Oh is the decision-making aspect. Again, in this event, we at least have Painful Choice, but think about, like, more modern deep draw Yu-Gi-Oh decks. It really is all about just, like, going through your deck and, you know, getting to your cards. Getting to your Exodia pieces, and then, I don't know, does your opponent have an Ash Blossom to stop you? No, cool, alright. And, you know, if people do find that interesting and fun, I'm not trying to say that they're wrong for that. Of course, there's no such thing as, like, wrong fun, right? As long as you're not harming somebody in the process of doing it. And despite what some people might say about the card games, there's some people who are pretty vocal about, like, no, you going off and winning is harming me. It's like, no, it's not. It's a card game. Let's you know, keep the scope of reality in check here. Yeah, no, I think that, you know, when it comes to this kind of a thing, again, if you find it fun, more power to you. I just don't understand it at all, not even for a second. That's the main point I'm getting at here. And I think for me, a lot of the reason for that is because what I value in Yu-Gi-Oh is the decision-making, are those very skill-testing decisions. And I'm just not... There's none of that in these types of decks for me. I also feel like, for me personally, the gimmick wore off extremely quickly, and by extremely quickly, here's what I mean. I built a deep draw Turbo Exodia deck to play against NPCs on, like, Tag Force 2, I think it was, for my PSP, you know, well over a decade ago by this point. And, you know, I did that, like, a couple of times, and I feel like after that, I got my fill. I'm like, alright, that's what it's like to win with Exodia. Cool. And I don't think that concept has been challenged or changed in any way. I mean, obviously in terms of what cards it plays, but in terms of overall, like, the type of gameplay that it provides, it just has not changed at all. I don't see anything rewarding and revisiting that personally. Now, of course, there is a big factor which I'm not talking about, which is nostalgia. But am sort of, you could almost call me a critic of nostalgia. I'm going to walk that statement back immediately because I don't want to compare myself to that man in pretty much any way, shape, or form. But I will say that I think that nostalgia blinders tend to really persevere in Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot more than other games, right? Like, here's a good example. There's a decent number of people who think that Isolde should be banned, and it was banned in the TCG, and a lot of the reason that a lot of people think it should be banned is because it enables deep draw Exodia decks. This is something that I've actually had discussions with, you know, players about on social media before, where I kind of posed the question of like, okay, so if Isolde is ban-worthy for enabling this alt win con, why would we not just ban the alt win con? Because you know what else Isolde enables is the Infernoble Knight deck and other various warrior pile decks, which are not egregiously powerful, but would be literally non-existent in their current form without Isolde, and in a new form would be so much weaker that it's not worth exploring even for a second. But in my experience, a lot of people seem to think that this is acceptable to preserve Exodia because nostalgia. And when nostalgia is starting to interfere with like a gameplay experience, that's where I have an issue with it, right? I have an issue with people kind of being okay with the blatant hypocrisy of being like, yeah, Exodia is a problem, but let's just ban Isolde anyway, because it's Exodia, it's cool, episode 1. I think that's really foolish, personally. I'm not saying it's not valid, I'm just saying I don't agree with it, and I don't see a line of logic that is good for the health of gameplay, right? And I think a lot of this comes down to an issue that a lot of issues in Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of come back to, is that we just need an alt format, or like, I was gonna say alt formats plural, but like at this point, give us one good solid alt format that's like actually widely supported in Master Duel, you know, has decent tournament representation. I think that would assuage a lot of these intersects of nostalgia and modern Yu-Gi-Oh!, right? Because right now they're both trying to be serviced with the same format, and that's really just not going to be feasible at all. And yeah, I mean, that's obviously a pretty huge thing that Konami needs to step up on. We've all known that for quite some time. But I don't think that the wow, I don't even know what word I'm looking for there. I don't think the solution in the meantime should be that, you know, we ban stuff like Isolde. I just don't think that's, like, cool or good. And I understand that nowadays there's the Millennium archetype, so Exodia does have, I guess a function outside of the OTK, but let's be real, the Exodia pieces in Millennium are 100% shoehorned in for nostalgia reasons, and, like, you know, I guess it's not really worth debating whether or not that should have been the design, because it is what the design is at the end of the day, right? And I'm not trying to argue that Exodia needs to be banned for power level reasons. I'm certainly not, in any way, shape, or form. But, I just don't understand, why people feel the need to run defense for it. Yeah. This is funny, because this is a take, too, that, like, whatever I've mentioned in the past, like, people really feel the need to run defense for, when really my whole point here is that, like, I think this is uninteresting. Which, at the end of the day, if you think it's interesting, that's great. The cool thing about opinions is that we can have different ones, and, again, as long as we're not, like, being harmful or hateful, that's actually just 100% fine, right? Like, it's a-okay for me to not like Exodia and for you to like it. But yeah, I mean, that's really a lot of, I guess, what I had to say about this style of deck. And as far as, like, this event in particular goes, I mean, it's a dual trial, so it's only 3 days, right? Like, and in that regard, this is a good 3-day event, or like 3-win event, or, you know, just very, very minimal. If this had been an actual festival, I would have had a much more major grievance with this style of event. Ultimately, as a dual trial, it's just, it's fairly harmless. But yeah, like I said, I thought this was the perfect vehicle to sort of talk about my sort of disinterest in Exodia. Yeah, so I will say to sort of, I guess, sing praises for this event. The inclusion of the whole Painful Choice Soul Charge line is neat. Were it not for Painful Choice, there would be zero decision making involved in this format. And it would actually just be literally skillless. It would just come down to who got to deep draw Exodia first, right? Who got the better opening hand, who got luckier, etc., etc. So yeah, I do appreciate that there is some amount of skill expression, but like, if the biggest praise I can sing for an event is like, decisions mattered occasionally. You know, it's like, how can you even really call that a good or worthwhile event? And again, my definition of good and worthwhile involves, you know, skill testing, decision making, all that fun stuff. And that's again why I just find this very, very unfun personally. Now, unfun is one of those words that is used very objectively in this community. So I want you to know that when I say unfun, I mean this is my perspective. It's wild because fun is sort of treated as a monolith within Yu-Gi-Oh! Specifically, and I think that's why Exodia kind of ignores a lot of flack that other non-game FTK decks do, is because nostalgia equals fun. Therefore, Exodia is fun, and if something is generally considered fun, don't criticize it. To me, is my perspective of what the attitude seems to be a lot of the time, right? When it really, like I said before, and I can't believe this is something that, like, I have to explain, but fun is, like, the literal most subjective thing in the world. You know? I don't know. Again, I feel the need to keep repeating these points, because I can already see the comments that are being like, well, I don't know, whatever, it's fine. You know, for my original take on this video, for my original, like, audio, I was actually talking over the gameplay, and I found myself able to do so pretty seamlessly. There were a couple of points when playing Painful Choice that I actually had to stop and actually think about what I was doing, kind of like here. But, yeah, I mean... And I guess I will say that, again, due solely to Painful Choice and nothing else about this format, this did actually open up this opponent in particular to misplay, because really I was thinking to myself, you know, how do you just not pick transaction rollback here? My kind of goal here was to set the transaction rollback that they pick for me to hopefully copy their Sound the Retreat that they milled to bounce my board back. But then they just set up my whole graveyard for me anyway, so now I just actually win. Especially after using the first Painful Choice to set up limbs, which was a misplay on my part. Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting here, but yeah, I mean, like I said, I want to be fair in my criticism, right? I don't criticize specifically, like, because I have so much hatred for Exodia in my heart. I criticize because I want to have what I consider to be a better gaming experience, and I don't consider Deep Draw Exodia on either side of the table to be a positive Yu-Gi-Oh! Experience, because I don't ultimately feel like I walked away having played a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like I either... like, I just think it's funny that, like, there's so many complaints about how modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Combos are like cutscenes, when that is exactly what the style of Exodia deck is, to even more of a T, right? Because with modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Decks, you know, again, you get to interact. Your decisions actually matter. But there's no real opportunity for that when it comes to playing, again, with or against Exodia, so... And it's funny, even though it didn't take me even 15 minutes to earn this pack, I still feel like, okay, that was a waste of 15 minutes. That's really why I don't do dual trials at all, but anyway, I just kind of had a point to make with this one. So, thank you if you end up watching this whole video. I super appreciate you. Not only sticking through just me rambling, but just for being around in general. I always get really anxious with these kinds of uploads, because I'm so uncertain of how they're going to go. They tend to do pretty well for views and, you know, engagement, all that fun stuff, but I mean, really more than anything, it's about me just kind of getting my opinion out there and all that kind of fun stuff. So thank you for listening to me. Again, I super appreciate you. And if you are listening still right now, just know that you're supporting the channel in a huge way by listening all the way to the end of the video. That's true not just for me, but of every YouTube channel out there. So on behalf of all of the small YouTube creators, thank you for watching all the way to the very end. But I think that's going to go ahead and do it for now. Let's just move on to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.